Are you ready to transform your pool into a stunning oasis? At Mainland Pool Service, they're a family-owned business committed to keeping your pool looking pristine all year round. They believe that pool care should be proactive, not reactive, which is why their skilled team handles everything from routine cleaning to complex issues with precision. They prioritize clear communication and personalized solutions to exceed your expectations. Join the Mainland Pool Service family today and experience the difference their expertise and dedication can bring to your relaxation retreat. Contact them now at mainlandpoolservice.com.
New Amsterdam Vodka is an official partner of the Memphis Grizzlies. It's the only exceptionally smooth vodka that is 5 times distilled, 3 times filtered, and rated 93 points. New Amsterdam believes wins big and small become legendary when you celebrate them with your crew. So here's to the blue, white, and gold, the Memphis grit and grind, and reliving winning moments big and small with Tennessee's favorite basketball team. New Amsterdam Vodka. Find your wins.
Did you see that hockey goal from the Russian Hockey League? We're going to come right in front of the table and we're going to recreate.
We're going to recreate the moment. Hold around. You do it. Go, let's go!
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
Gary Parrish speaking to you from downtown Indianapolis, side of the 2026 Final Four. Doyle back in Memphis producing. Glad he's with me, glad you're with me. Hope you get through a day best you can. And I hope you didn't want to watch a beautiful national championship game last night between Michigan and UConn, because that is not what we got. Either way, the Wolverines are your national champions. We'll talk about it momentarily. It's a great story. First, though, quickly, let me set this schedule for you. When we finish this open, we're going to take a break, come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we'll discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories, among them the Grizzlies. Fell to 25-53 on the season last night with a loss to Cleveland in what was the final home game of the 2025-26 campaign. Final score, Cavs 142, Grizzlies 126. I'll update you on lottery odds. We'll do it in about 25 minutes. A Twitter user from Chicago, I gather, calls himself at GFedGoCrazy. Seems like a reasonable name to me. He decided to visit Memphis after what LeBron James said about the city and our NBA franchise. As you probably know, all of this stuff has happened while I've been away from the show here in Indianapolis, dealing with CBS Sports responsibilities connected to the Final Four. So I haven't said a word publicly about any of it, but I do have thoughts, and I'll share them with you. We'll do that a little later on in the show. College basketball's transfer portal, it is now open. Arkansas guard DJ Wagner, he is in it, is the son of a former Tiger, a future Tiger. We'll discuss that. We'll do it in just a bit. Fred Smith Jr., the Broadcrest star, who is now a 2-time Commercial Appeal High School Boys Basketball Player of the Year. He has set an announcement date for his college commitment. It's Wednesday. That means it's tomorrow. Everybody seems to believe he's going to pick Memphis. We'll spend a few minutes on that. We'll do it in the second segment. And the odds to win the 2027 NCAA Tournament, they have been posted. I'll tell you who is the favorite right now. We'll do it during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP carryout and call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with the 2026 NCAA Tournament because it came to a close last night here in Indianapolis, less than a mile from where I'm sitting right now. Hell to the victor. Final score, Michigan 69, UConn 63. In year two, under Dusty May, Michigan has won its second national title in program history. Big Ben Bennett, it is good to see you on this Tuesday morning for the first time in a minute. Let me say I appreciate you and Lang Whitaker holding things down while I was finishing up this college basketball season. I should be home tomorrow and in studio every day for the foreseeable future. Obviously looking forward to that, but enough about my schedule. Bennett, I know you were mostly occupied with the Grizzlies last night, but I'm sure a part of you, there's got to be a part of you that is pleased to see a former American Athletic Conference coach, the great Dusty May, win a national championship just 2 years after leaving Florida Atlantic University.
I should have sent Kyra the tweet that the American put out last night because it made me want to throw up everywhere. It's just pathetic, frankly. It's just pathetic. Happy for Dusty May, happy for Michigan, but they put out a graphic that was like, congratulations to former FAU head coach Dusty May, and congratulations to former UAB Blazer Yaxel Lindenborg. And I'm just like, come on, y'all. Like, have some freaking pride. Don't put that out there.
We know you're a minor league conference, but you don't have to tell us.
Ridiculous, dude. It just makes me sick. I'm just like, come on, man.
We know you're a minor league conference, but you don't have to be the one to tell us.
Golly.
It's a little bit like, did you see when Auburn was sending out those tweets connected to Stephen Pearl? And it was like, this is the most wins for a coach in Auburn program history in his first season. Congratulations, Coach Pearl. And it's like, yo, I guess that's cool. But the context is he took a program that was in the Final Four last year, preseason top 25, and missed the NCAA tournament. Like, that's not an accomplishment. That's not something you should be bragging about. Like, that's something you should be hiding from. And there's Auburn, like, reminding the whole world of it. And, like, if I worked there, I would, like, whoever, I would do it as kindly as possible. But whoever thought it was smart in our social media team to post that so that our men's basketball coach would just get dunked on at Auburn, politely, but you so clearly don't understand your job, you can't do your job anymore. That would be a deal breaker for me. I'm not trying to ruin your life, but you can't do this anymore because you've just our basketball coach embarrassed himself this season, but then the season was over. You could have just left it alone. And you keep reminding people that we underachieved. You can't do that anymore. And with the Americans, same type of thing. Like, their former, players from different leagues that enrolled at Michigan and won a national championship. In other words, Elliot Cadeau. He played at North Carolina last season. Played at North Carolina 2 seasons. Did you see a tweet from the ACC saying, congratulations, Elliot Cadeau, former North Carolina Tar Heel? No. If you want to be taken seriously as a conference, at the very least, you have to take yourself seriously as a conference. Like, you're never going to convince me you're anything other than what you are, but you might be able to convince some other people until you start congratulating former coaches and former players who left your league because it was too small for them in current times. But whatever. Last night, ugly game. Neither school shot it well, which I guess was always in the cards, considering these two teams did finish the season both with top 7 defenses in the country. Michigan was below 39% from the field last night, thanks in part to going 2 of 15 from 3, but UConn was below 31% from the field. So things worked out for the Wolverines. And because they did, Michigan made history in multiple ways that I think is interesting. Michigan became last night the first team to ever win a national title when its top 3 scorers on the season are all 6'9" or taller. And here's another one for you. Michigan last night became the first team in college basketball history to win a national title with 5 transfers in the starting lineup. So what do those things mean? Because I do think there's some lessons in there. Let's take them one by one in the order that I gave them to you. Michigan last night became the first team to win a national title in the sport of men's basketball when its 3 leading scorers on the season were all 6'9" or taller. There was an interesting moment in a couple of press conferences over the weekend leading into the championship game. One from Dan Hurley at UConn, the other from Dusty May at Michigan. And they were sort of asking Dan about roster construction at Michigan, where they just went big across the board. A 7'2" center, a 6'11" power forward, and then a 6'9" wing who is built like a monster. That's Yaxel Lindenborg. And Dan Hurley was asked about this at UConn, and he said, I'll be honest, when I saw them go out and get Morez Johnson and go out and get a Daimara and go out and get Yaxel Lindenborg, you start to think, okay, how is that going to work? Like, how do those guys all play together? In a time where the sport, in some ways, at least went through a period of time where everybody was trying to get smaller, how is this going to work in college basketball? 7'2", 6'11", and neither one of those guys are real stretch the floor bigs. And then you throw 6'9" on the wing. Is this is Dan Hurley talking? And so then Dusty May, the Michigan coach, the guy who is responsible for putting the roster together, he was asked more or less the same question. And he said, I just started looking at Oklahoma City. Like, that's the best basketball team in the world. And what did they do? Like, they've got Chet Holmgren, but they went out and got Isaiah Hartenstein as well. Like, they decided to double down on just being big and being big at multiple positions and trying to physically overwhelm you. And if it can work for Oklahoma City, then why is that not something we should try to emphasize in college basketball? It's just a piggyback off of something Todd Golden, who won last season's national championship, had said recently, that at a time where the sport had gone small and a lot of 5 out, he said that the way to raise your floor in college basketball at the high major level is to recruit men who are physically overwhelming for mid-majors. Like, if we're going to throw a bunch of 6'2", 6'5", 6'8" against a bunch of 6'2", 6'5", 6'8" at the mid-major level, we don't have an advantage as a high major. But if we can go 6'9", 240, and then 6'11", and then 7'2", well, there's no mid-major in the country that's going to be able to match that size for size. So Ty Golden said you can raise your floor and minimize the likelihood that you'll get upset in a single elimination tournament by somebody that shouldn't be able to physically compete with you, if you just ensure you've got a roster that can't be physically competed with. And so Dusty May doubled down on that, and this is the result. I thought that was really interesting, the way Dan said, I looked at the roster construction and wondered, how does that work in basketball today? And Dusty May said, I'll show you. It's the same way Oklahoma City is doing it, and just watch. You're going to see more teams over and over again going forward in college basketball emphasize great positional size. Duke already talks about it, tries to be big at every position. Michigan is now doing it. It shouldn't be a surprise that Dusty May and John Shire are close friends, because they have sort of latched on to the same sort of philosophy when it comes to having great positional size all over the court. And then, of course, the other thing I mentioned, Michigan last night becomes the first team to win a national title with 5 transfers in the starting lineup. That is evidence, not that we needed more, because I've been making this point for a while, but it is the latest bit of evidence and the most compelling, that the days of needing 4 years or 3 years or some extended period of time to flip a program, just not true. You can build a great team overnight if you're smart, capable of doing the job, and well-funded. It takes all of those things, but Dusty May is all of those things. He's an incredibly smart guy who's great at his job and is terrifically funded as a basketball program. And so when you put him in a position to take over a program that, keep in mind, had won less than 25% of its games in the final year under Juwan Howard, like, it was a total rebuild thing. But he got it respectable in year 1. And then in year 2, he goes out and adds Elliot Cadeau from North Carolina, a Daimara from UCLA, Yaxel Lindenborg from UAB, and Morez Johnson from Illinois. Did I get them mixed up? But it's, the 4. It's the 4 right in the starting lineup. And I saw some people make the point like, well, how is this any different than what people get frustrated with when it comes to the Dodgers? They're just spending a lot of money and buying all the best players and then winning a championship. That is so not what this is. The Dodgers go out and buy Shohei Ohtani, and then they go out and, buy the best pitcher on the market, and then they go out and buy the best outfielder on the market, even if they don't necessarily need him. And then they go out and just get the best closer straight from the Mets because, like, why not? I'll just walk you through this real quick. Yaxel Lindenborg was the guy at his team last season, but it was at UAB. He was the guy at UAB that Dane Danger was banging on. All right? That's who he was. Elliot Cadeau was a disappointment in 2 years at North Carolina. Ask North Carolina fans a year ago, they're probably glad to see him go. All right? Morez Johnson, he was a role player at Illinois, averaged 7 points per game last season. And Adai Mara played 2 years at UCLA. I mean, they were 2 whatever years. He showed some promise, but was never a prominent player in that program. So that's who Dusty May and his staff went out and got. They didn't go out and get Shohei Ohtani and Edwin Diaz. They went out and got Yaxel. Yes, he was the guy at UAB, but just the guy at UAB. And the other 3 big-time transfers they enrolled were just role players that they clearly spotted something in. And then they brought it together, meshed it into a team that is quite literally one of the greatest college basketball teams in modern history. Some people are dismissive of numbers like this. Others swear by them. I won't try to argue it either way. I'll just give you the information. You can do with it what you will. Michigan last night won that game, playing poorly. That's the other thing. Didn't even have to play well to beat Dan Hurley, Alex Karabin, a 2 seed in this tournament, and the best program of the past 30 years, inarguably. Didn't even have to play well to beat them. Win that game, they finished 37-3, and with a net rating at KenPom of plus 39.7. Without context, I know that means nothing. Let me tell you what it means. It means that in a 100 possession game, or over the span of 100 possessions, Michigan would be expected to beat an average Division I men's basketball team over 100 possessions by 39.7 points. That's obviously the best in the country in this season. What it also is the best for any national champion in the history of the KenPom database that goes back to 1997. That's true. If you want to argue you'd rather have, 2024 UConn over this Michigan team, fine. You'd rather have 2008 Kansas over this Michigan team, whatever. 2012 Kentucky over this Michigan team, that's fine. I'm not trying to argue with you on a Tuesday morning when I've slept 4 hours. What I'm trying to tell you is that no national champion in the history of the KenPom database that dates to 1997 has ever finished with a net rating better than the plus 39.7 Michigan recorded in this season. You can reasonably call them one of, if not the best, college basketball teams in modern history. You can reasonably label them perhaps the best college basketball team we've seen since Rick Pitino's Kentucky Wildcats finished with 2 losses and won the national title in 1996. Special team built out of the transfer portal in basically 1 year. If you're a new coach, don't hold a press conference and talk about you need 4 or 5 or 6, because if you're great, you don't. And Dusty May just proved it. And the last point I'll make on this is that a disagreement I have with some coaches, not all, but some, is when they get on these little rants where they say things like they hate the transfer portal and they hate transfer waivers. And the reason is because it's teaching young people all of the wrong lessons. It's teaching them they don't have to fight through adversity. It's teaching them to run from their problems. It's teaching them to run away, run away, run away. And with all due respect to every coach who's ever said something like that, some of whom I consider friends, you're just painting with way too broad of a brush. I don't doubt for a second that there are basketball players or football players who have, quote, run from adversity, would rather just go to a new place, a less challenging place, than to fight through and to become stronger and better for it. I'm sure that exists, and I'm sure every coach who says that stuff has a name and number they can attach to it. But the idea that every transfer falls under that category is just wrong. Like the idea that every person who changes schools is just running from adversity or changes basketball programs is unwilling to fight is just nonsense, ridiculous. I'm sure it happens some places, but often, just as often, if not more often, you know what these young people are running towards? More money, a better opportunity, more playing time, a fresh start, all of the things any of us might run to when we go through any sort of breakup in any sort of aspect of our life. Change colleges, change relationships, change jobs. You're not always running from adversity. Sometimes you just are presented with a better opportunity. Sometimes you're just a backup point guard at one school, and another school says you can be our starting point guard and we'll pay you twice as much money. Well, are you running from adversity, or are you just doing what's best for you and your family? And so I hope that this Michigan story backs coaches off of that narrative a little bit, because I can't speak for any Michigan player specifically, but I just know that they all ended up at a place where collectively they were able to have the best years of their basketball lives. And you can say that they were all making a mistake jumping into the transfer portal if you want to insist the transfer portal's evil, but like their lives are all better today than they were a year ago. Think about that. In a time where some coaches and some fans act like everybody who jumps in the transfer portal is the devil, there's at least 5 men who were in a starting lineup last night who all jumped in the transfer portal at some point over the past few years, most of them within the past year, and their lives are way better today than they were this time a year ago. Like I said on CBS Sports Network last night, that Michigan story and all these transfers, it's not one that should be chastised or criticized. It's one that should be celebrated. And if you're smart as a basketball coach, you should try to replicate it. So Dusty May, former University of Memphis staff member, by the way.
How about that? That just came out of absolutely nowhere.
I will say I've never heard that.
I hadn't either.
And, bro, I've known Dusty since he was like an assistant at, La Tech or Florida or what. I've known Dusty forever. And I don't have any recollection of he and I ever sharing that conversation. But it feels so odd that we wouldn't have, because that's like the first thing people say to me. It's like if you don't know what else to say, it's like if you have anything connected to Memphis, you bring it up.
Yeah.
Like
the good icebreaker, yeah.
It's just an icebreaker, because most coaches who would know me at all would know where I live or where I went to school or something. I'm not pretending everybody knows everything about me, but if you know anything about me, you might know where I live at least. And so that's it. Like the other night we were at St. Elmo, and the same server who was on TV with us yesterday pregame was our server on a few nights ago for the family. And so he was in, and he was like, so where are you guys from? He does that thing. And I say, we're from Memphis. And he says, hey, I was in the Navy, and I served in Millington. And so I know all about Memphis. And so I said Memphis, and he immediately went to Millington, and now we're talking. And so it just seems like at some point, Dusty and I would have been in a conversation, and he would have been like, GP, so you still in Memphis? And I'd have been like, yeah. And he's like, I worked there. But I have no recollection of that ever happening. But for people who don't know the story, he, when Cal got the job, drove to the Final Four, with no connections to Cal, as a recent college graduate, and just like, I'll take any job back you can have. And Cal was like, come to Memphis. And he came to Memphis, and long story not so long, ended up working for like a $500 stipend and was working nights at FedEx, just to get his start in the business. So I had never heard that story, but Cal Tucker, my friend and colleague who works for 24/7 Sports, was able to tell it, and I thought told it well. So that's just another little neat aspect of this. Dusty May, former University of Memphis staff member, to some degree, wins a national championship at the age of 49 and in year 2 at Michigan. And here's another note floating around social media that I saw last night that I thought was interesting and perhaps, telling about where we are in the sport right now. And here's the note. Curt Cignetti and Dusty May were hired 4 months apart in the same league and took over teams that had won 25% of their games the previous season, and both won national championships in year 2. Like I said, no excuses. If you are great and you're well-funded and you know how to roster build, you can do this very quickly, even at places where you're not necessarily supposed to do it. Indiana football, never supposed to happen, just did. Michigan basketball had only happened once ever, 89, just happened again. And, oh, by the way, right now the Big Ten has the reigning national champ in football, Indiana. Men's basketball, Michigan. Women's basketball, UCLA. And the Big Ten has won 3 straight football titles. Buddy, once everybody started paying players, that SEC dominance disappeared pretty quickly.
I thought you were gonna say that. Because you even pointed that out years ago when this all started happening, and you were like, I wonder what it means for the Big Ten, because they've kind of always been known as like the, I wouldn't say just above board league, but
If you talk
they thought they were doing it the right way forever.
If you talk to coaches, they would tell you working in the Big Ten is very different than working in the SEC. It doesn't mean that every Big Ten coach and Big Ten program was clean, but the perception was that almost no SEC programs and SEC coaches were clean, and most of the Big Ten programs and Big Ten coaches were mostly clean. And so you could get an Ohio State pop up and compete with everybody every once in a while, maybe a Michigan, you get the point. But for every one school in the Big Ten that was rocking and rolling, there were 4 schools in the SEC that were rocking and rolling. And so the SEC would, they do their chants and talk about how they're the best and nobody can compete and it just means more. But then, oh, buddy, the rules changed. And, we looked at the Big Ten and we said, hey, you guys probably been trying to hold yourself to a standard that this other league and this other part of the country wasn't really trying to care about. But you don't have to anymore. Go out and do what you got to do. Spend the most money, do whatever you got to do to roster build, to create championship teams. The rules are gone. Whatever the SEC spending, if you want to outspend them, you can. And you know what we're finding out?
They got the money.
The most. The biggest brands in America, college athletics, they're Big Ten brands. The most money in college athletics are at Big Ten programs. And it is now showing itself on the courts and on the fields. That money was not as helpful when they had rules prohibiting schools from using it. Some schools still did, sure, but not all did. Now they all are. Now every Big Ten school is throwing money around, using the power of that brand, the money behind it, to create championship-level stuff. And now it's undeniably the best sports conference in the country. Like the SEC can keep, bragging about how they win the tailgates. They don't win the championships anymore. You're not winning the championships. The Big Ten has won 3 straight footballs and is the reigning trophy holder in football, men's basketball, and women's basketball right now. Why? There is only one sensible explanation. Why? Because for the first time ever, it is now allowed. Everybody can go out and throw money at your problems, throw money at your programs, throw money around, and get whatever you want to get done. There's really no police out there. They still act like there might be, but there's no police out there. If you've got money, use it. If you've got a brand that resonates, use it. No violations. No letter of inquiry showing up on your doorstep. You don't have to let them cheat while you try to not cheat. Go do whatever you got to do. And once the page got flipped into that chapter, now it's Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten. They have more of it than anybody. College athletics is a money game right now, and the Big Ten has more of it than anybody. Unsurprisingly, the trophies are now starting to follow one after another. When we come back, we'll turn our attention to the Grizzlies. Lost again last night, final home game of the season. And yes, I will dive into LeBron's comments that have sparked a national conversation about the city of Memphis and the NBA's all-time scoring leader and everything in between. We'll do all that next. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
With living in luxury at Southland Casino Hotel, the good life is closer than you think. Members get 1 entry with every 100 points earned playing on their Lucky North Rewards card, plus 1 free entry daily. Win free play at our hourly drawings, and don't miss our Saturday grand prize drawings in March. You could win a home theater package, premium massage chair, an outdoor jacuzzi, and $250,000 cash. Luxurious prizes await at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 or older. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Each challenge is unique, so each game plan is customized to identify opportunity and the path to victory. It's true in basketball, it's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle with personalized planning and advice. Play hard, bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by May 30th, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Talk me through what you've been going through since draft night.
Just a lot of figuring out of things, coming off the bench over there at Utah, just trying to find a role over there, and then here in the whole year. Things are going to be different after the deadline. Rookies don't get traded, so we'll see how it is after that. Rookies do get traded, just in case anybody was wondering.
You weren't even worried going into the trade deadline, were you?
I mean, not at all. I'm going to be honest with you.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Jeff Dunham, Artificial Intelligence, his all-new tour.
You're the other white meat. How can you be so smart on one hand and so stupid on the other? Well, you're half of it. I realize I could have avoided all this years ago with one simple word. I do not. Silence!
Don't miss a Memphis. Friday, April 10th, FedEx Forum. Tickets on sale Monday, September 29th at jeffdunham.com.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either, and that's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's Ortho South at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Oh, Bennett final score. Grizzlies only got to 126 while the Cavaliers got to 142, and that's how you lose another game to fall to 25-54 on the season. It's the final home game of the regular season. Big Bet Bennett, how did it feel inside FedEx Forum last night?
Kind of surreal, I guess. I mean, we hit a franchise record in three-pointers last night and lost by 16. So it's been a weird season, man. It's been a really weird season. We still got 3 more games, but that was the last home game. It feels like this, and I could be wrong. I feel like maybe I say this often, but it does feel like that this was like multiple seasons combined into one. Like, it feels like we've played out 2 seasons.
Buddy, like this is the time of the year where I get very busy, and so I can get a little distracted, I can just sort of look up and go, all right, well, there's only 3 left. Yeah. All right. I understand you got to live through every bounce of it. You okay?
Oh, yeah. I feel okay. No, you got to listen, man. I am grateful, and it doesn't matter how bad this team is, I'm always going to enjoy being able to do this. So
I got that.
So I'm good, but I do feel for some of the fans. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I echo that, obviously, but like moving forward can be difficult.
Moving forward can be difficult. Yes.
Moving forward can be challenging. And this has been a hard thing forget you and I and Jess and everybody else, but like a hard thing for the fan base to go through.
Yeah.
People pay a lot of money to buy season tickets, and what you hope is that the last week of the regular season are going to be high stakes basketball games.
Sure.
Or either games where you're.
Well, the stakes are still pretty high.
I understand the stakes are still high. I got you. I like that you're finally coming around a little bit.
Listen, once you go that far down this path, you gotta ride it out. You gotta ride it out. Yeah.
I got you. My larger point was that, people pay a lot of money for season tickets.
Yeah, for sure.
People care deeply about this team and franchise. And what you always hope, I guess, is that when you're in the final week of the regular season, you're either playing high-stakes games on the way to the playoffs, or you're so locked into a certain playoff position, you're just sort of resting and getting ready for what's to come. And this has not been either of those things. And so it stinks. And it especially stinks because the franchise in many ways is unrecognizable right now to where it was just a couple of years ago. Like the players whose jerseys our kids all own either aren't here anymore or are on the way out. And all of that is like, moving forward is hard. But I think most agree at this point, and I emphasize the word most because I know it's not all, but I think most agree at this point that moving forward was the proper path. We can debate and discuss and argue about this move or that move specifically, and we will eventually, but I think we can all agree what we were doing was not working. And it was time to move in a different direction. And then that process started, and most assume that it will be completed this offseason, which means most assume last night was the last time Ja Morant walks out of FedEx Forum as a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. And I saw the video and, heard the cheers, and it was such a, it did remind me, I've told this story a bunch of times, but when I was in Akron, the day that LeBron left the Cavs for the first time to go to the Heat, like we were at the LeBron James Skills Academy, and there weren't very many people in there, but there were like the parents of some kids who were from there, and they were Cavs fans. And I just remember them watching him walk out of that building, and you could sort of sense they knew they were watching something for the last time. Like, I'll never watch LeBron James walk out of here again as a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was the thought at that point. We know how the story unfolded. He came back, but he did leave. And there was real heartbreak connected to that. Like, I cannot believe our king is leaving us. The thing I'll never forget, hearing a woman yell at him as he was exiting that building on his way to get on a private plane, fly to Connecticut to do the decision. The last thing I remember a woman yelling was like, "Please don't leave us, King." It was just sad. Please don't leave us, King. And obviously that was different than this, because that was his decision, and this doesn't sound like it's going to be Ja's. But I sensed a little bit of that. Like, "We love you, Ja." I heard all that in the video, and it just sucks. I'm being clear about this. It's time to move on. We've tried this as long as it could. It did not work. I don't have any interest in piling on at this point. Everything I needed to say on the subject has been said, but it's time. And I know that there are fans out there who will jump into a chat or jump on Twitter and say it's not, but just trust me. If you break down, like if you put up a poll, should the Grizzlies move on from Ja Morant or not, just put it up among just everybody in the world, the results will come in however they come in. You put that same poll up to people who actually have to deal with it every day, who have been in the day-to-day, who know what it's like in the building, on the road, in the practices, everywhere. It's time to move on. You'd get a much different poll result if you did it that way. The people who are still saying don't do this aren't people who are close to the situation at all. It just got to a place where I don't want to say it wasn't fixable, but it feels like everybody tried everything they could to fix it and resolve it, and it just never got to a good place. But it doesn't mean it doesn't suck, and it doesn't mean it's not sad, and it doesn't mean we all don't wish it could have gone differently. But you were in the building last night. I just watched videos. What was that mood like, connected to the idea that maybe a lot of people were watching their favorite player walk out of there as a member of the Grizzlies for the last time?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously see him, saw the video, and Matt Infield posted of him walking off and throwing up the peace signs, and Dev posted the video of him doing like the prayer hands before leaving. I mean, I agree. It does feel like it is headed this way. It's not what I want, but it's fine. I've accepted it. Now again, we got to also remember he's still got 2 years left on his deal. Like, a deal actually has to get done. Like, and it didn't get done at the deadline. So that's still, got to actually happen, right? Like they got to, if that's the plan, they got to find a way to make it happen, right?
Well, yeah, and that's the job, and most people suspect that they will. As always, we'll see.
Yeah.
Either way, that's done. 3 games left. The Grizzlies are now 25-54, and that's tied for 6th. There
was a lot of shakeup last night. A lot.
You didn't think the Grizzlies were going to be able to pass the Mavericks in the way that we needed to pass the Mavericks, but As we're sitting here right now, the Mavericks have 25 wins. The Grizzlies have 25 wins. The Grizzlies are 25-54. Mavericks are 25-53. So the Grizzlies are percentage points worse than the Mavericks right now. The Grizzlies are tied for 6th with the Pelicans right now. That equates to a 34.8% chance to pop into the top 4 and an 8.3% chance, 8.2 specifically, to get the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Bring me AJ DeBonsa. If not him, I'll settle for a Darius Acuff Jr., please.
So we got a big one coming up between New Orleans and Utah, okay? And Utah probably wants to lose that game because that keeps them below the Sacramento Kings, who they are currently tied with in the standings. Like Utah is gonna want to. That's also, we play Utah the last game of the regular season on Sunday. That's gonna be
hilarious,
extremely interesting because right now Utah is at the bottom in the West. They want to stay there. It's just going to be really interesting to see what that looks like.
What if, at what point, what's to stop you? What's to stop you, even if the fine comes? Just be like, we're not scoring tonight. You can beat us 2-0. We're not scoring tonight.
I think that there would be a fine. Yes.
Oh, of course there'd be a fine. But they've already told us we don't care about fines.
You know the wild
thing.
thing.
Me. We're taking a lot. We are not beating the Memphis Grizzlies in the last game of the season.
Well,
period.
And Utah has been kind of the poster child of this season and everything surrounding tanking, right? And it's just hilarious that that's the final game of the regular season, the Jazz versus the Grizzlies in Utah. It's just wild that it worked out that way.
Yeah, just get tip off and then go score. Jazz get the ball and then go score on themselves. All right, we're down 2-0. We just scored on ourselves. What are you going to do about it?
Just start throwing the ball to the other team.
Just score on yourself.
It's like chest passing to the other team.
Chest pass the other team. Hey. Hey, there's our old buddy Walter Clayton. You want this ball?
I would never advocate for that, ever. I would never advocate for that.
Interesting times. So
it is interesting times.
3 games left. The lottery odds will all be set soon, and then we'll have the lottery at some point, and then we'll know. I can't wait till we know when we're picking.
I cannot freaking wait. I'm ready to get to this, man.
I can't have one conversation with my kids without one of them saying, "So where are we picking again?" And I say, "Buddy, we got to wait for the lottery." And then the next day, it's like, "So where are we picking?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I hope one. But I don't know."
I feel like we have. I feel like we have handled this stretch the right way. Mm-hmm. I feel like we have handled this stretch the right way, and I feel like karma is. I've said the word karma a lot this season, and I truly believe that just with everything in Memphis and the Grizzlies just being in the news cycle so much. I know we're going to talk about that. Man, it feels like we are deserving of the number 1 overall pick. We've never had it in franchise history. It feels like the time is now, man. It feels like the time is now. It's all culminating to this.
I hope so. Sam Quinn, CBS Sports, tweeted something similar. He said, man, karma's a real thing. If you believe in karma, you should give the number 1 pick. The Grizzlies deserve the number 1 pick. They've been fun while moving forward, and also taking a beating from NBA players throughout the season. That franchise deserves something nice. Give them the number 1 pick. I don't know if Sam Quinn has any control over that, but I hope he does because I like what he said.
Yeah, me too.
Number 2.
All right. Let's get into it. So last time I hosted the show was, I guess, last Thursday morning, right?
Yes.
And then I had a Final Four practice show on Friday that has an early call time. At CBS Sports HQ, CBS Sports Network shows on Monday have an early call time. God bless you, Bennett Doyle, Kyra, Lang, for holding things down in my absence. We couldn't do this without you guys. There are times where I like to think I'm important to the process, but it's times like Friday and Monday where I remember that everything will be fine without me. Appreciate you guys holding it down. In the meantime, though, the biggest controversy in sports has hit our front step. Because at some point, I guess, after we got off the air on Thursday, a golf video posted with LeBron James, the king of America. And he was on the golf course with a bunch of people that looked like me and Vernon. And, he was yucking it up like you often do on a golf course, and just out of nowhere started shitting on Memphis and the hotel he has to stay in Memphis, and then went on to say, hey, he ain't the first person to say it. He won't be the last person to say it. Let's just move this franchise to Nashville. Why do we got to keep this thing in Memphis? Everybody would prefer it be in Nashville. If we got to have an NBA franchise in Tennessee, it should be in Nashville and not in Memphis. By now, I think everybody knows the story. I assume you guys have talked about it over and over again. But I don't need to catch anybody up on that aspect of it, do I? Y'all know that part, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the video post, and it starts circulating, and I watch it, and my initial reaction is like, oh man, not again. Because like, we have been taking a beating, whether it's Anthony Edwards or Draymond Green, or it's almost got to a point where if the topic is where's the place in the NBA you really don't have the best time of your life, it's an invitation to just, hey, let me tell you an awful story about the time I was in Memphis this one time. And in that respect, it really does remind me of, you know how we went through a phase where you'd turn on College Game Day, and every Saturday morning it'd be like, Nick Saban loves Nickelback. Or you'd see some, that was considered an insult. Like, if you like Nickelback, you're a whatever. And so that people would show
like
up
on the posters and stuff. I got you. Yep.
Right. And I mean, like, you'd see a video of somebody, and then if you looked in the replies on Twitter, somebody'd be like, must be a Nickelback fan. And it just sort of, I noticed we got up to a place as a society, because it's such a, most people aren't funny enough to come up with their own things. That's why you hear, like, if you ever got a friend who quotes movies all the time, you know why that is? It's because they're not funny enough to come up with their own words or phrases. So they just take phrases from movies.
Thought about that, but that's an excellent point.
No, if you have somebody who in your life who quotes movies all the time, like if they're like, Bueller, if you ever see them do that.
I hate that.
Me too. It just means that they're not funny enough on their own. And so they have to pull phrases that they've seen other people use in certain situations, and then they go, I saw in that movie, or I saw this other guy I work with, he could use this phrase from this movie in this situation, and some people might laugh. Some people will roll their eyes, but other people might laugh. But I can use it there. And some people might laugh, and that's better than nobody laughing. So I guess I'll do that Bueller thing again. Or I guess I'll do that, are you not entertained thing again, right? And so Nickelback became that. If you wanted to insult Bennett Doyle, you'd be like, oh, Bennett probably listens to Nickelback. Oh, I bet Bennett's got a Nickelback. And I just remember at one point going, how did Nickelback become this? Now, I don't like Nickelback. I've never known a Nickelback album or been to a Nickelback concert. I know some of their songs just because how would you not if you live in the United States of America in a certain time? But, like, there's just no way in the world Nickelback really became the worst rock band of all time. Like, they were selling out arenas. I imagine the worst rock band of all time is somebody who could never sell out an arena. Like, once you get to a point where you can sell out 18,000 seats, you're kind of doing something, whether I like it or not, right? But you wouldn't know that from social media, and you sure as hell wouldn't know it from College Game Day, because if you were ever trying to get a shot off at somebody, you would just reference Nickelback. And Memphis has become that in the NBA. That's my point. It has gotten to a point where the easiest, simplest, pull the movie quote thing out is just, oh, yeah, well, Memphis sucks. Memphis hotels suck. Well, I heard Anthony Edwards say it, and I heard somebody else say it, so I guess I'll just say it now, too. Doesn't mean it's not true, that part of it. But the piling on has become very much like it's just the thing to do. It's the easy thing to do. You've heard other people do it, so now you do it. And Anthony Edwards got away with it because he really just focused on a bed in a hotel wasn't that great. And other people have sort of said it and just moved on, because if you just keep it focused on, if we're ranking hotels in NBA cities, Memphis is at or near the bottom, that's a pretty, there's not a whole lot of pushback there, because it is what it is. But when you start talking about moving franchises from a predominantly black city to a predominantly white city, while you are with a group of white people at the whitest place in the world, which is a nice golf course, that's where you get what you get. And that's why he has gotten what he's gotten. And when he tried to weasel his way out of it with, did I say I don't like black people? Like, bro, nobody said that. And he's getting killed. Like, he has suddenly invited a lot of people a lot smarter than him to weigh in on topics that he's not equipped to talk about or discuss or perhaps even understand. And he really walked himself into a bad situation here that he is eventually going to have to backstep on and acknowledge he did not understand the weight of his words, because every day that he stays 10 toes down on, I don't think I really said anything wrong, there's going to be a slew of people smarter than him with a better understanding of race relations in this country and the history of Memphis who are able to tell him, no, bro, we love you in a lot of ways, but you were wrong here and you messed up here. And you did a real disservice to a lot of the people who look up to you. And 18-year-old LeBron James from Akron, if you really are half the person you purport yourself to be, 18-year-old LeBron James in Akron will be disgusted seeing a 41-year-old LeBron James on a golf course with a bunch of people who look like me talking about we need to get this NBA franchise out of this black city because I don't like the hotels and move it to this white city because they got a hockey team and a NASCAR race or whatever. Like, he really stepped in at this time, and I'm not surprised that he's getting what he's getting right now.
I'm not either. I'm glad to hear you say all that. I was nervous about this. This has been weighing on me, GP. This has been weighing on me. You know how much we've praised the King over the years. And I feel like Rob Stark at the Red Wedding. That's what it felt like when I watched that video. I felt like Walter Frey's kid came up and stabbed me in the stomach. That's what it felt like.
What it felt like to me was a man who was talking a little too loose on a golf course, the way people on golf courses often do, got caught up in his surroundings, knew that he could say things that would get chuckles from that demographic, and got caught in a spot where he didn't recognize how it was going to be perceived by the rest of the world.
Yeah, I mean, I just also didn't like just the whole tone in his voice talking about it and everything. I was just like, golly, man, he seems so like almost angry talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, so you got to get him out of here. I'm like, damn, dude.
It's just a reckless thing to say because, and I understand why you say I've been nervous about this, because I'm not going to lie to you. And you know, yeah, you sit here, you say, we've sat here and praised our King because we do call him our King and our Savior and all that stuff. We have fun with it like we have fun with everything else. Of course,
yes.
Yes, I will praise people. Like, I hope, like, I've been doing this a long time now. I hope you know this about me. I will praise you when you deserve praise. The second you don't, I will say that too. And that's why I get in these crossway situations with people all the time. That's why every Memphis basketball coach who has had the job since I've had my jobs has hated me at one point or another. Every one of them.
That's accurate.
Every one of them. All right?
Yes.
I'm on good terms with most of them now. But at one point, every one of them has hated me.
Sure.
Because at some point, I've got to say, hey, man, you're not doing your job well. Or, hey, this was wrong. Or you messed up. Or you shouldn't have done this. Like, that's the job. That is why. The reason I have anything I have is because I say these things. Not to fan flames, but because it's my job to tell the truth to the best of my ability. It doesn't mean I'm always right, but it means I'm always trying to be right more than anything else. So I will praise LeBron James when he deserves praise. I will criticize him when he deserves criticism. When it's sunny outside, I walk outside and I go, man, it's sunny. And when it's raining outside, I walk outside and I say, man, it's raining. I don't walk outside when it's raining and say it's sunny. Some people do that. Still, to this day, the world is bananas. The president is a maniac. And some people will still just say things like, oh, well, you know, it's sunny. Bro, it ain't sunny. This is crazy, all right? Tell the truth for once in your life. Tell the truth. I've got no problem telling the truth. When Memphis basketball is great, I say, man, I love this. It's great. When Penny Hardaway is great, I say, man, this is awesome. When he's not, I say that too. And if that gets me sideways with people, then I came to terms with that a long time ago. There are days when Dan Hurley likes me. There are days when Dan Hurley doesn't like me. I'm okay with it. Every time I'm telling the truth. I will say things in the same show like this. Dan Hurley is a great basketball coach, one of the greatest in the world. He is better at his job than 99.9% of the people on this planet are at their jobs. Sometimes he also crosses a line and does things that I think he should not be doing. If you're going to get mad at me for saying one of those things without acknowledging I said the other one, then we just can't get along sometimes. It's fine. I'll be okay. So when it comes to this, I will criticize LeBron for recklessly saying you should take a franchise out of a city that desperately needs it, out of a city that would, in many ways, deteriorate further if you ripped it out of here. Not to mention all the jobs that would just disappear for people who, in many ways, look like him. To recklessly just off the cuff, yeah, get it out of there because I don't have fun 2 nights a year. That deserves all of the criticism that he's gotten. It shows a total lack of understanding of the history of Memphis, the history of this country, the history of the South in this country, the history and the political dynamics in the state of Tennessee, why Nashville is wealthy and flourishing, why Memphis not so much. Like, there's a billion books on this stuff. If you want to dive in and understand it better, it's all there. He clearly never has. Hopefully this moment will move him that direction, but I'm not optimistic of it. So he's wrong there.
Number 3.
Oh, my bad.
He's wrong there. And he deserves the criticism he's getting. But let me be clear. I will not lie to you. We do have a downtown problem. That part's not untrue. I've just spent a week in downtown Indianapolis. It is not comparable to downtown Memphis in terms of just walking around, how you feel. It's just not the same. We do need nicer hotels downtown. You want to know why? Just keep it simple. We need at least one super nice hotel downtown. You want to know why? Keep it simple. Because the most famous people with the biggest voices and the biggest platforms who come through our city, you know who they are? Usually basketball players. We don't have Beyonce coming through our city twice a year, all right? We don't have Taylor Swift coming through our city twice a year commenting on it. The most famous people we typically have regularly coming through our city and staying downtown are basketball players. And it's pretty clear at this point, the basketball players do not like your hotel situations, all right? Is the Westin across the street from FedEx Forum nice enough for me? Absolutely. I have stayed there multiple times. I have also stayed in Westins, and I couldn't even begin to count how many cities in this world, all right? That Westin across from FedEx Forum, hand to heart, here's what I think. I walk in it, and it's no different than really any Westin I've ever stayed in. I have never walked in that Westin and been like, this is so worse than the other Westin. They kind of look the same, feel the same. The room that the Twitter user at GFed Go Crazy, and shouts to him, we'll get to him in a minute, but the room that he stayed in, I've stayed in that same room. It's perfectly awesome. It's fine. So do I completely understand NBA players just crapping on the Memphis hotels? No, because I've been in all the Westins, and they're all kind of the same. But it's clear that it doesn't meet their standards. You can keep telling them they're whining, but they're going to keep whining very publicly. So unless you want people to keep whining very publicly, famous people with big platforms, about your hotel accommodations, we do need to improve that. And yes, we need to improve downtown still. Still, we can all love downtown.
Agreed.
There's shootouts every other weekend, it feels like. Like, You can quote all your crime statistics. Look, this is better. This is better. Every time I jump on WREG.com and they say there was a shootout down at Bill Street, a 17-year-old girl got shot in the back, Tom Lee Park. Every time one of those comes up, your crime statistics don't matter anymore. Like, people were just hanging out at Tom Lee Park and boom, 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 boom. People are just kicking it outside of FedEx Forum. Pop, 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 pop. People are like, hey, there's the Orpheum. Isn't that a beautiful pop, 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 pop? All right? I'm not going to lie to you. So LeBron was wrong in saying you got to move this franchise. But that doesn't mean we don't have problems that need to be addressed. We don't need to move the franchise because the city needs help. You need to use the franchise to help the city. And that's what the Grizzlies are trying to do. That's why these negotiations are ongoing. The Grizzlies want their neighborhood downtown to be better. It needs to be better. I'm telling you, the only people who think you don't have a downtown problem are people who have never been anywhere else. It's people who don't know anything other than Bill Street and downtown Memphis. You ask those people, you see somebody on Twitter be like, I don't think there's anything wrong with downtown Memphis. I don't think there's any problems. Ask them where else they go. Well, what other downtowns have you been in? I've been in all of them. Basically every downtown in America I've been in at this point. I'm in downtown Indianapolis right now. I walked around downtown Indianapolis for the past week. I love Memphis. It's my home. It's not comparable. It's not comparable. We do need improvements. We do need to make it safer. We can't have shootouts as often as we have shootouts in a tourist-centric part of the city. Go argue with somebody else if you think otherwise. And so we can all pile on LeBron, and I'll join you. But I'm not going to join you when you act like everything's fine and anybody who suggests otherwise is crazy or racist or anything else. There's real problems with downtown Memphis that need to be addressed. And hopefully they are. But the solution here is not to move the franchise out of a city that needs it to a city that already has enough franchises and everything else in the world going for it. If LeBron James is actually who he likes to think he is, the point he'd be making is, man, when I come to Memphis, I remember coming here once upon a time, and I can tell a difference from when I was coming here when I was, 20 years ago, and when I'm coming here right now. And I'd love to see it get back to where it was once upon a time, because I understand the culture here, the history here, the music here, the food here, everything here, how much it means to the South, how much it means to people who look like me, how much it means to the story of race relations and the history of this country and by extension the planet. And I'd love to see it bounce back and be as vibrant of a place as it could possibly be. That's the message he should be sharing if he is who he says he is. But a lot of people have told you and I this for a long time, as we've said things like our king. They say he's not who he is. He's a phony. And that incident on the golf course, it certainly didn't help his image in that way. I do want to shout out the Twitter user at GFedGoCrazy, because best I can tell, he's, on social media the way lots of young people are these days. And he visits stadiums and arenas. And when this whole thing popped, decided to travel down to Memphis from Chicago. And like, hey, if these NBA players are shitting on this hotel and that hotel, I'll go check it out and see it for myself. And he's done tours, and it's all over social media. He was at the game last night in the suite with Mayor Young. It's awesome. I love that this has gained traction, that he has been able to come and show that there is another side to what you're hearing. Yeah, maybe Anthony Edwards doesn't love this Westing because he's used to Ritz-Carlton, but like, the rest of us are just normal people, and I'm a normal person, and here's my iPhone, and let me show you where I'm staying. Let me show you where I'm sleeping. Let me show you this and that, and it all looked perfectly reasonable to most people. So I love that he's been able to show the other side of it, and that he took the time to do it, and that the city has treated him well, and like that he ended up in a suite with the mayor of Memphis. Like, I don't know that happens in other NBA cities. Like, could you decide, just some random young guy from Chicago, you're going to go to LA and check out the hotels to see what everybody's talking about, and next thing you know, you're in a suite at the Lakers game with the mayor of LA? Like, that probably doesn't happen, right?
Probably not.
but it can happen in Memphis. And so, if nothing else, that young man is going to leave here with a nice impression of our city, and also going to be able to use his platform to show that there's another side to all of this. We're not the biggest market in the world. The issues that we face are real issues. But, man, looked like he had a nice meal at this place and had a nice sleep at this place and had a nice bath in that suite and had a nice time at the Grizzlies game and got to chop it up with the mayor. And these are memories that he'll have forever. And I bet you for the rest of his life, if anybody ever asks him about Memphis or his favorite or worst NBA cities, he won't have an answer like the one LeBron had on that golf course that day. He'll have a much better one that I think will reflect better on him.
Number 3.
College basketball's transfer portal is now open. Arkansas guard DJ Wagner is in it. Bennett is the son of a former Tiger, about to be a future Tiger. You think so?
Come on home. You know why I think that is? I remember I was talking about, I believe in fate. I believe in fate. I believe in karma. I believe that there's some sort of energy out there that manifests things. And I was going through my cards. I wanted to bring some cards for Roser to look at because he's the card guy, and I want to tell him if any of mine are valuable. You know what card I pulled out of the stack? Wani.
Okay.
DeJuan Wagner, just randomly in the stack, and I was like, that means something to me. That means something to me.
Well, there are reputable college basketball reporters who believe DJ Wagner is going to be a Memphis Tiger. Obviously, there's a PJ Haggerty is in the transfer portal story, and that's all getting connected. And
well, he wants $4 million. Really? Okay. Come on, PJ. Can we get you had your best year here. Come on, man. Can we get a discount?
Well, I think what people are about to find out is just spending $4 million on a guy who maybe doesn't necessarily make his teammates better. Is not money well spent. I recognize he was great at Memphis and he scored a lot at Kansas State, but I'd be surprised if PJ Haggerty gets $4 million this time around. Little scoring guards, I don't know that you get $4 million after we just watched Michigan go big, big, big and win.
Oh, but, right.
Hey, but good luck. I will say, if you DJ Wagner is probably a role player at a great SEC school, but would maybe be the best player in the American, right?
Yeah, and there is nothing wrong with that. I've heard that statement a lot, and I'm like, that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. I know the score. The score is to win the American Conference. That's the score. That's the goal. That's where we are right now, and I feel like he's a guy that can help them do that.
Right. So whether it's DJ Haggerty, the guard at Tulane, who has acknowledged he's going to enter the NBA draft and go through the process, but also be in the transfer portal. Brumbaugh, that's an option reportedly. We'll see. Since I've been out, Memphis has also hired a general manager who is somebody I don't know, but my God, the bio's impressive. I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I mean, he sounds like a young, super smart, intelligent, sharp guy. I say this blindly. I only know what I've read and gone through the wiki, whatever you can find. But just that's the type of, if that resume ended up on my desk, I'd be like, okay, this is interesting. Let's take a closer look at this. So that was encouraging. And as long as they can get the roster in place, and it sounds like, again, we're not trying to judge it against a Michigan roster or a Florida roster or a Kentucky roster right now. It's just got to be the best AAC roster, and you got to go win the AAC. And if you can get involved with players like DJ Wagner, then that suggests that you're on the right track. So, as always, we'll see. It's a money thing, and the money's got to be right. But it does sound like DJ's looking for a bigger role that he probably wouldn't have at Arkansas next season. In the American at Memphis, I would assume you can have that role, and it would kind of be neat. All these years later, if we looked up and there's DeJuan Wagner watching his son inside FedEx Forum in a Tiger uniform. I like stuff like that. And so, I don't want to say it sucked because it didn't. I smile anytime I see those guys. But when you saw Almami Chero's son and Billy Richmond's son and DeJuan Wagner's son, and they're all playing for Cal at Arkansas, It's just like those guys were all Tigers, and now at least one of them looks like he might be a Tiger. DJ Wagner in the transfer portal. We'll wait for the next update.
Number 4.
Meantime, Fred Smith Jr., Briarcrest star, who is now a 2-time Commercial Appeal High School Boys Basketball Player of the Year, has announced that he's going to announce his commitment, and that's coming tomorrow. Everybody seems to think he's going to pick Memphis. Is that what you think, Bennett?
Man, I hope so, because I do think that there is still listen, I'm all for the new, you talked about in that first segment where college basketball is now. A team that just won the national championship completely rebuilt that roster, that starting lineup this past offseason, right, with transfers. So I totally get that that's the state of college basketball, and I'm totally cool with building a team with guys that haven't been here before. But just as a lifelong Memphis basketball fan, there is still something cool about the high school Memphis guys that are super successful in high school going to the University of Memphis. It just is. It's cool. And if that happens, I think it'll be a really cool story.
You know, we have said it's going to be hard for Memphis fans to get excited until the team is actually good again on the court and you're watching it like they're 7-1 or they're 11-2 or they're 8-0 and I actually I'm the one who said that. So what I'm trying to tell you is I don't think I believe that anymore. Like if I told you all of a sudden the Tigers got a commitment from DJ Wagner and Fred Smith Jr. all within a few days of each other, suddenly you'd start to get excited about that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's because it's two familiar names. It's not like this guy that came from this school and he averaged 15 points a game from a school that you're not super familiar with. You can get excited about that, but you know these names. You know these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think there's a way, and I didn't think this would be true as the regular season was unfolding. So this is me. If you've been waiting on it, this is me saying I think I might have been wrong, because I was like, I don't think there's really anything you can do with roster building. You're going to need to show it on the court, because you've roster built before and we go, man, that's pretty good, and then it's not good. Back. That would be enough to get Memphis fans excited for the season that is to come. And then of course we'll see how it goes, but I actually do believe there's a way for Memphis to create positive momentum with commitments, and perhaps the next one it'll come tomorrow. Fred Smith Jr. ranked 88th in the country, class of 2026, according to 24/7 Sports. He's expected plus 800, followed by Michigan and Florida, plus 1,400, Arizona at plus 1,500. Then it's Michigan State, Kansas, plus 1,600, Houston, Arkansas, plus 1,800, UConn at plus 2,000, Texas Tech, Alabama, plus 2,200, UNC plus 2,500, Purdue, BYU plus 3,000, then Kentucky, St. John's at plus 3,500. Top 25 and 1, publishing later today at CBSSports.com. I will have, surprise, surprise, Michigan, number 1. They lose Yaxel Lindenborg. They lose, presumably, a Dimara to the NBA draft early. Could also lose Morez Johnson. But for now, I'm going to project that Morez Johnson is back for PJ Haggerty money. They bring back Elliot Cadeau. They get back LJ Kaysen. They enroll a top 5 recruiting class. Dusty May's going to have a team, it looks like on paper, capable of going back to back.
Recreate the moment. Balls around. Go, let's go!
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
25 years of history, going back to where it all started. B2K is back. The Millennium Tour presents the Boys for Life Tour.
I ain't impressed because ain't none of them at all.
Boys for Life. Also starring Pretty Ricky, B5, Young Jock, Crime Mob, A. Marie, and Franchise Boys. April 26th, FedEx Forum. Tickets available at Ticketmaster. Presented by the Black Promoters Collective.
Each challenge is unique, so each game plan is customized to identify opportunity and the path to victory. It's true in basketball, it's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle with personalized planning and advice. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by May 30th, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Talk me through what you've been going through since draft night.
Just a lot of figuring out of things coming off the bench over there at Utah, just trying to find a role over there, and then here in the whole year. Things are going to be different after the deadline. Rookies don't get traded, so we'll see how it is after that. Rookies do get traded, in case anybody was wondering.
You weren't even worried going into the trade deadline, were you?
I mean, not at all. I'm going to be honest with you.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Junior Grizzlies summer camps presented by Ortho South are the key to a slam dunk summer with over a dozen 4-day camps perfect for Hoopers ages 6 to 14 looking to build fundamental skills and make unforgettable memories. With camps across the Mid-South in Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas, you won't have to go far for the ultimate hoops experience this summer. Registration comes with a Junior Grizzlies jersey, lunchbox, and a basketball to take home. Don't wait, space is limited. Visit grizzlies.com/Junior Grizzlies today to secure a spot for a fun-filled summer. That's grizzlies.com/Junior Grizzlies.
B2K is back, and they're bringing the reunion tour to FedEx Forum on Sunday, April 26th. Get ready for a night of unforgettable music. Purchase your tickets today, Ticketmaster.com, or at the FedEx Forum box office. Let's do carryout.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we miss today?
One more college basketball headline from Monday. We got lost in the lead up to the national championship game to some degree, but Michael Malone, yes, that Michael Malone, former Denver Nuggets coach, is the new head coach at the University of North Carolina. That surprised you, Bennett?
It does. It does, because I thought he might resurface in the NBA. I thought he might find an NBA job this offseason. But it's not surprising that this is like where a high-level college basketball program's going. No, because he doesn't have to worry as much about the recruiting aspect of this. He's probably got a guy there that can build him a roster to his liking, right?
That's right. And so I saw the initial reaction from most college basketball people, and it was like, what are they doing? This is crazy. And I'm like, what's crazy about it? Like, you have to understand the context to understand why it's not that crazy. They wanted Tommy Lloyd. He used him to get everything he wanted out of Arizona and then stayed at Arizona. Dusty May was going to do the same thing. They wanted to interview Ben McCollum at Iowa. Ben McCollum said, I'm from Iowa City and the Iowa coach. I'm not going to let it be known that I interviewed with you, and then I have to go back to Iowa because you don't want me. If you want to offer me the job, offer me the job, and I'll maybe take it. But interview? I'm not interviewing. I'm who I am. You can look, you could call around, talk to people about me. You can look at my Wikipedia page. Please do. It's awesome. But I'm not interviewing. So at that point, when Billy Donovan's saying, I'm not talking to you till after the season, they I don't want to say they panicked, but they were just like, we've got to end this now. So rather than get into a deal where, well, let's see if Mark Byington at Vanderbilt is still interested. Let's see if TJ Otzelberger at Iowa State will come. All of these buyouts were going to be like $9 million, $10 million, $11 million. Here's the way it was going to go. You were going to keep wasting time with coaches who use you to get better situations at their own place and then turn you down. Every day you do that, you've wasted 2 days. The transfer portal is now open. Plus, even if you get one of them, here's what you're doing. Woohoo, we got Mark Byington at Vanderbilt. Okay, who's great. It cost us $9 million just to buy him out of his contract. Now we probably got to pay him something like 5 years, $35 million to coach our team, plus pay a staff, plus buy a team. Or Michael Malone worked for ESPN. No buyout. We saved $9 million right there off the jump. That's $9 million we could take and spend on players. We have a general manager, or we will have one. We have a guy who won an NBA championship 3 years ago. Wally Zerbiak played for Michael Malone in Cleveland. He was an assistant there. Wally's like, the guy's great. Brilliant X's and O's coach. All right. So if you're North Carolina, our options are pay $9 million just to get somebody like Mark Byington. And then we got to pay him all this money. Or we could just go hire Michael Malone. Make sure we give the general manager all the resources to roster build. And if that person does his job well, Michael Malone, championship coach of the 2023 Denver Nuggets, his job just going to be to coach the basketball team. Why could he not coach a basketball team? You don't think Michael Malone's better than most of the coaches in the ACC, if not all? He doesn't have to recruit the way you used to have to recruit. You don't have to go watch Peach Jam the way you used to have to watch Peach Jam. It's transactional now. Do you have the money? If you do, you can get the players. If you get the right players, as Michigan just showed, you can be great. If you get the wrong players like Kentucky just showed, you won't be. But that's the job now. You have a general manager whose job it is to get players and a coach whose job it is to coach them. Michael Malone can coach basketball. I can't promise you it'll work, but I can promise you I understand it. I did not think this was as crazy as some people thought yesterday when it was announced.
What's today's biggest game?
We'll do Major League Baseball.
Okay.
Padres and Pirates, 540 Central, MLB TV. Paul Skeens making his third start of the season. He's now got his ERA down to 9.53. 1-1. He's going against Nick Pivetta tonight. Pirates minus 160. Padres plus 130. How you going to act?
I think I'll just roll with Skeens.
Let's just roll with Skeens.
Yeah, I'll just roll with Skeens. I already am starting to hate baseball again. Like we just started this, and I feel like my team's just mid. I'm already annoyed.
I can't really even pay attention much other than like look at box scores until like tomorrow. But tomorrow I'm all in. Tomorrow I'm a baseball fan. Tomorrow I'm done with this basketball stuff. Tomorrow I'm a baseball fan.
It's early. So not panicking just yet, but not happy with the start.
I understand. Then it said take Paul Skeens, lay him 160 tonight, first pitch 540.
What are we watching on TV?
Bennett, can I interest you in... Come on. My file won't come up. Can I interest you in... Come on. Can I interest you in the truth and tragedy of Mariah Wilson? Do you remember Mariah Wilson?
Mariah, why does maybe
you 100% remember Mariah Wilson was a cyclist.
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Mariah Mills.
I know Mariah Mills too.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that story?
Oh yeah. Mariah Wilson is a cyclist, and Mariah Mills, I don't think her butt would even fit on a bicycle.
Maybe not. Yeah, you might be right about that. This is the murder. This is the
Austin, Texas.
Oh man, we talked about this story for a summer.
Caitlin Armstrong thought her boyfriend was hooking it with Mariah Wilson. Showed up, pop, dead. Fled to Costa Rica.
Yep.
Remember that?
Yes.
Eventually got caught. She had subsequently, I don't know if we knew this, been found guilty. She's sentenced to 90 years. Parole possible after 30, but Netflix has a new documentary on it, The Truth and Tragedy of Mariah Wilson. Number 2 in movies right now. You can find it at netflix.com.
What's the best thing we've read?
My buddy Tom Fernellen, proud Illinois fan, wrote the following column, CBSSports.com. Big Ten reigns as king of college sports. Conference stamps its mark in 2026 with championship dominance. So if you want to read about how awesome the Big Ten is at everything, you can find it right now on the homepage, CBSSports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Tomorrow's going to be Wednesday. Man, I can't wait for Wednesday. I'm supposed to be home, Bennett.
Good.
That's the plan. I know. And then I'm not supposed to leave again. I can go to Delta.com when I get home tonight, and it will say...
Log off.
It'll say... trips scheduled. It says my trips. You can always click on my trips and it'll give you all the trips you got. And it's like 11 or, it's a big number always.
Yeah.
Once I get home tonight, 0, baby.
How about that?
0. And I'll get it loaded up again. But for now, it's going to be 0. So I'm looking forward to being in studio tomorrow and for the foreseeable future. Chris Vernon will join me. Should be fun. Looking forward to it already. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to try to enjoy mine. Let's be back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.
Did you see that hockey goal from the Russian Hockey League? We're going to come right in front of the table and we're going to recreate.
We're going to recreate the moment. Rolls around. You do it. No, let's go!
in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Jeff Dunham, Artificial Intelligence, his all-new tour.
Just a hand. You're the other white meat. How can you be so smart on one hand and so stupid on the other? Well, you're half of it. I realize I could have avoided all this years ago with one simple word. I do not. Silence!
Don't miss a Memphis. Friday, April 10th, FedEx Forum. Tickets on sale Monday, September 29th at jeffdunham.com.
Get ready, Grizzlies fans. It is time for the Surfside Can Shuffle. Can you keep up with the cans and find Mac the Crab?
The heaviest metal credit card of all time. Rumored to be one of only 18 in existence. Plated with the very same tungsten that forged the International Space Station. And wielded at business dinners like a samurai sword. It's a classic corporate power move. But the real power move? Having end-to-end visibility on your most critical shipments. FedEx, the new power move.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.